Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Angle here for TGI Sports Talks Major League Baseball update. We're getting close to the start of the season, guys. I think we're just less than a week away. We start on March 30th. Be looking for the TGI Sports Talk. Let me turn this music down. TGI Sports Talk Major League Baseball preview show, which will be coming up hopefully next week. I got to get with Mr. Drew Ehrlich, one of my loyal followers and baseball aficionado here locally, and also my brother-in-law. And I'll talk to Drew. Hopefully, I'm going to send Drew a message here today and ask him when he might be available. So we'll look to do that here very, very soon. Today, I want to take a quick look around some of the news. We'll talk a little bit about the WBC results, which, again, I find a very exciting tournament. If you do not, listen, I apologize, and feel free to comment here and tell me why, and we'll debate that a little bit. But I think it's an awesome tournament. I know there's some injuries, but, you're going to run into injuries everywhere. So, listen, the opening day is next week. We'll go through the schedule, the opening day schedule, the early first series, if you will, of the season, and we'll look at some other news. There's some big news around baseball. The last couple of days, we had injuries to Ryan Hoskins, which appears to be season ending, I would say. ACL, the MRI did reveal an ALC tear, and he suffered this injury when he was when he backpedaled to field a chopper, and then it took an in between hop in the second inning. It was kind of a freak injury, actually, as it nicked his glove, and when he went to grab it on the grass behind it, his knee just gave out. Just a freak kind of injury, and it happens. And now he's recommended for surgery for ACL reconstruction, and the Phillies have to figure out what to do, whether it would be Derek Hall that will step up. Derek Hall was projected to be the DH for the Phillies. Now maybe he'll be the first baseman. It might give Nick Castellanos another shot to be the DH for this team. But this is a big blow, I think, for the Phillies. He's a good clubhouse guy, talking with his Philly sports guy today on the Mac and Jack show. It does appear that he is a very good influence in the dugout and in the clubhouse, and he'll be severely missed. There's also, by the way, there's an opportunity that there's some thought within the organization that this might allow them to give Edmundo Sosa a little bit more playing time at third base and maybe slide Alex Baum over to first base. We'll see how that works out for the Phillies. But this is not a good scenario in any way, shape, or form for the Phillies 1 week from opening day. What else? Cardinals and Mike I never say these guys' names right. McCollis has agreed to a 2-year, $40 million extension. This is extension week, kind of, and there's been a few. He's 34 years old. He did lead the Cardinals in innings pitched last year with 202, I believe, posted a career best 153 strikeouts. He'll be their opening day pitcher, and, he's to me a journeyman at best. He won 12 games. He's a two-time All-Star. 3.29 ERA, but this is what you get for $20 million a year now. Is, to me, mid-level pitchers like Miles. Sorry, I said Mike before. Miles Mikolas. So we'll see how that fares. And he's Adam Wainwright was probably going to be the opening day starter, but he suffered a groin injury coming off a successful World Series Classic campaign for him. He pitched pretty well. The U.S. did lose to Japan, as you know. We'll touch on that in a second. And Wainwright will open the season on the IR, by the way. The Braves closer Iglesias will start the season on the IL with a low-grade shoulder inflammation. Never a good sign. Low-grade shoulder inflammation often turns into full-blown rotator cuff injuries. So this is something to keep an eye on. Probably in the interim, AJ Minter will step up. He did convert 15 to 17 chances a couple of years ago when he was a rookie. And he's been used mostly in setup and hold situations prior to this. Very good pitcher. We'll see if anybody else can step up. Maybe Joe Jimenez had 20 saves the past 5 years with Detroit, and Kirby Yates, who was an all-star in 29, but has had some serious arm injuries and ineffectiveness since then. Both of those pitchers I've just mentioned have been a bit erratic in spring training, so we'll see. It's probably, I would imagine Brian Sitker is probably going to go with, closer by committee, if you will, and play matchups and such, and I think that's what you'll probably see. So not a good sign for sure. Bad sign for the Braves getting started. There's some injuries around. Listen, injuries are part of the game, man. You got to be deep, or you're not going to succeed. Some interesting developments with some of the new rules. One of the concerns about the new rules in 2023 was that, teams would aggressively challenge whether teams had violated the new ridiculous, by the way, new no shift policy, right? Nobody can be, you have to have two men on either side of second base. Now you can do whatever you want from there, and they all have to be on the infield dirt when the pitch is thrown. So there'll be no replay challenges on this, by the way. There are a couple other small rule changes here. By the way, here's the other thing. Some of the managers are trying to circumvent this new rule also by experimenting with playing with just 2 outfielders and 5 infielders. We'll see whether Major League Baseball adjusts to that or not, because they can't let anything just happen organically. We've got to make rule changes on top of rule changes, and it's getting ridiculous. They did make a couple of adjustments to the equally ridiculous pitch clock, so that if a hitter is knocked down or brushed back by a pitch, the clock is delayed until the hitter is composed and back on the edge of the batter's box. So they give him a little bit of extra time to get himself set. Pitchers covering first base. If a pitcher covers first base, the clock won't start until he reaches the infield grass, which, should be plenty of time. But again, these are little things that nobody thinks about, apparently, when you put in rules that are not needed. Catcher ends an inning on base or on bat, he doesn't have his equipment on. The umpire has the discretion to grant the catcher additional time between innings. If the catcher was at the plate or on deck, as I said, I'm sorry, I just repeated what I said, the previous half inning. It isn't automatic. The umpire will decide when that pitch clock starts. Awesome, right? I mean, these are the little things. These are more things that we need to keep track of, right? They want to shorten the game, but they give you more things to watch that are not baseball related. Ugh, man. I don't even want to get into some of this other stuff. Good grief. Oh, whatever. Listen, you already seen people trying to manipulate. You saw Max Scherzer try to manipulate the pitch clock by, and I'm trying to remember who he was pitching against. I cannot remember for the life of me now. The story was a couple weeks ago, but he froze him. Basically, he took his timeout. The hitter gets one timeout, and during the entire timeout, Scherzer stood there waiting, and as soon as the guy stepped back in a plate, he quick pitched him. You will see guys trying to manipulate this and figure out ways to get around it. Oh, what else? Apple announces their Friday night baseball lineup. By the way, Apple, if your production and your announcing teams are not better than last year, how about we do this? Cancel the entire schedule because it was awful. Apple's double headers on Friday nights will return April 7th, the second Friday of the Major League Baseball season. The exclusive games will no longer be free for all users as they were in the package's first season. They'll be available without local blackouts for subscribers to the $6.99 Apple TV service, which I do have. Last year they were free. You could get these games free. They did revamp the broadcast crew. Thank you. Wayne Randazzo, Dontrell Willis, Heidi Watney, Alex Faust, Ryan Spilbors, and Trisha Whitaker. These are the crews that are available this year. And I do know a little bit about Wayne Randazzo. I've seen Dontrell Willis work, not terribly impressed. Hello, Don Play. How are you? Good to have you with us. Good to have you with us today. Not impressed with this team or the production of the Apple broadcast. It better improve this year. These are packages that are produced by Major League Baseball Network in conjunction with Apple. And they'll open with the Rangers at the Cubs at 2 p.m. and then the Padres at the Braves at 7 p.m. I also hope the schedule's better. Here's the problem. I'm a Yankee fan. We never know where to find the games. And it gets to be ridiculous. You hurt yourself more than you help yourself with this type of thing. But, this is a 7-year deal that we're in the middle of. The second year pays Major League Baseball $85 million annually, with $55 million coming in cash and $30 million in the form of advertising and marketing. I don't know. Has it been successful? The success of Apple Major League Baseball deal is not clear because Apple famously doesn't comment on these things. It's not been a success. These production value, the production values are terrible. You don't know where to find games, and it's gotten ridiculous. Good afternoon, Eric Jackson. Good to have you with us. It's a blank comment, but maybe you're writing in invisible ink. And I don't have my Perth decoder book with me, so I'm not sure that I can figure that out. Rick, lost your first fantasy player today with a torn ACL. Who was that? Was it Ryan Hoskins? Out for the season for the Phillies. That's where we started the show off today. Look at, gosh. These are the, how do you feel? I'm wondering, Rick, tell me how you feel you made out. Rick wasn't able to make our fantasy draft, and our fearless leader had to draft for him. He did a pretty good job, and we also commented. So anyway, they've got they don't have a lot of great games. I mean, here's the matchups. Do I want to watch Rangers and Cubs? Do I care anything about the Rangers and Cubs at 2:00? No. Padres and Braves is a good matchup. Giants and Tigers, Angels and Red Sox. Blue Jays, Yankees on the 21st ought to be a good game. The Astros and the Braves should be a good game. Phillies and Astros, a World Series rematch, should be a good game. Cardinals and Dodgers, okay, I'll give you that. Then we got White Sox and Reds, and Twins and Guardians, Royals and Brewers, Cubs and Twins. Oh, gosh. Orioles and Blue Jays might be okay if the Orioles continue last word's upward trend. Yeah, it was Ryan Hoskins. That's a shame. That's a shame. There's lots of good guys out there, though, Rick. At least there were last time I looked. Make a move now, though. Do a little research. See who's check the depth charts. Find yourself a good starting first baseman. If he was a starter. Anyway, Apple, do a better job. What can I tell you? Excuse me, picking my nose. Roger Clemens will be an analyst, by the way, for the Astros and White Sox game this year, opening day. Be a little interesting. I don't know if Roger's looking to start a new career, but it's interesting to see him come out of hiding a little bit. Roger's been kind of a recluse in recent years as he is, the steroid cloud still follows him around, and he has not made his way to the Baseball Hall of Fame. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if that turns into something more significant. What else? Let's see. Get into the World Baseball Classic in a second, too. Roger Clemens, Alvarez, that's top prospect, catcher. Francisco Alvarez was sent to AAA, and probably the best move the Mets could make. He needs to play. He's not going to play with their acquisition of Navarro from Milwaukee. and still some other leftovers there as well. Navarez. And Thomas Nito is still there as well, obviously. I think it's important that he gets a chance to play. And some other guys have had really good springs for the Mets, too. Brett Batty, who I love, great baseball name, I think, Brett Batty, got off to a pretty quick start with the Mets last year, if you remember them, pretty much struggled the rest of the way. But he, Mark Vientos, and Ronnie Mauricio had very good spring trainings for the Mets. So, well, Alvarez was just 3 for 28. So we'll see. Listen, gives him time to develop, gives him a chance to play every day, saves the Mets service time, and we can go from there. Eric shows a star. Maybe spelling improved after he graduated. Oh, what's he show? What he shows a star for what? I can't see what Rick put down here. Eric, sorry, buddy. Old habits are hard to break. Kenny Gifford told me he'll never call you Eric, just an FYI. Kenny tried to get me to play in a golf league now. Man, I am stretched so thin right now with real work, doing the podcast, doing the interviews now, trying to spend some time with my wife. Let's look. I want to look at The Athletic. I was reading started to read The Athletic. I want to go through some of this. They've got 10 bold predictions for 2023. Let's see what we think about these. I like to go through these and kind of give my own comments. Mike Trout will set a career high in homers and lead the league. Well, Mike Trout's got to stay healthy. Mike Trout could easily do this. Mike Trout could be a 50 home run guy. Mike Trout could lead the league in hitting. To get a career high, you'd have to hit 46 home runs, by the way. But Mike Trout's biggest problem has been staying healthy, and now he's 31 years old. Time is running out for Mike Trout, and it's really sad the teams the Angels have put around him for the last decade plus. I think it was very telling, and maybe a Freudian thing that Mike Trout, excuse me. Listen, I love the WBC, right? And I said all the players looked like they were having fun. They were busting their asses out there. And Mike Trout made it clear that this was the most fun he's ever had playing baseball. And that's probably as much an indictment on the Angels organization as it is, a plus for the WBC. So I don't know. Good morning or good afternoon now, CA. Good to have you back with us after this morning. I always try to figure out his CA's emojis here. Obviously, I can tell sunshine. What is the other one? Is that a little table and umbrella? I can't really tell. So anyway, can Mike Trout go for 46 home runs and lead the league? Yeah. But you got to play more than 100 games. So we'll see how that goes. The Padres will have the best rotation in baseball. Entirely possible. They improved their depth, getting Michael Wacha. They moved Nick Martinez back to starting. They traded for Joe Groom. So they got a lot of depth, right? And who is there? Let's see. Let's take a quick look at their rotation here. Let me pull it up. Padres are going to be a team to beat in the West, and maybe a team to beat in the National League, but they need to show that these group of superstars can play together, because what you need to perform individually in baseball, you still need to interact as a team. You need chemistry. You need lots of things to go right. Yu Darvish didn't pitch great in a baseball classic, but he didn't pitch badly either. But Yu Darvish had a good year last year. Joe Musgrove, we saw how nasty he was in the playoffs. He's hurt right now. Blake Snell pitches okay, never seems to win a lot of games. Michael Wacha and Nick Martinez, as I mentioned before, will be the 4th and 5th starters. Is this the best rotation in baseball? I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. I just don't know that I'm willing to go that far. Let me see. CBS MLB depth. I want to go. Let's take a look at some of the other rotations in baseball, shall we? Let's see how quickly I can get there. I always end up going place I didn't expect to go, so Let's see what we got. MLB depth charts. Let's go to I want someplace where I can get, this is the one I like right here. Starting pitchers. Who's got the best starting pitchers in baseball? Let's look at Baltimore. Kyle Gibson, Cole Irvin, Dean Creamer. Stop. No. If there's something that'll hold the Orioles back from continuing the progress they made last year, it'll be their pitching. Boston, forget it. Chris Sale, Corey Kluber's their number 2 starter. All you need to know. Hurt always. Garrett Whitlock pitched okay, former Yankee prospect. James Paxton at the back of this. Nick Pivetta in the middle. Last place, Red Sox. Can you say last place, Boston Red Sox? Because that's what you're looking at. You can't mention the fish without first Votto. Oh, God. Listen, Joey Votto, classy player on his last few years here, but still a productive player. How about the White Sox? Dylan Cease, I like him a lot. Lance Lynn, looks a little like me in the mound these days. No comments there if you're still here, Eric. Lucas Giolito needs to bounce back. Michael Kopech, Mike Clevenger. There's some off-the-field stuff with Clevenger. We don't know how long or how well he will pitch. That's a pretty good rotation, though, so far. The first 3, pretty good. If Giolito bounces back. Cleveland, I like this. Well, I like this rotation quite a bit. Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill, Aaron Saval, and Zach Placic. Not bad. Detroit, forget about it. Eduardo Rodriguez is their number 1 pitcher. Matt Boyd, third, and Michael Lorenzen, who is better known for his bat maybe than his arm, tells you all you need to know about the Tigers. Houston, this is my pick, by the way. Even with Justin Verlander leaving, you got Valdez, you got Javier, you got McCullers coming off injury, maybe still banged up a little bit right now, but he will pitch this year. Luis Garcia and Urquidy. This is that's the best rotation in baseball, in my mind. Backed up by maybe the best bullpen in baseball. That's why the Houston Astros are my pick right now to win the World Series again. Back to back for Dusty Baker. That's a Yankee fan telling you that. The Royals, Brady Singer I like. Zach Greinke is as old as me. Jordan Lyles has played for about every team in the league. Ryan Yarbrough, Brad Keller. Sorry. L.A., Ohtani, and nothing else. Tyler Anderson, okay. Patrick Sandoval, Dementors, Jose Suarez, I'm sorry, no. Yankees, now on paper, looks good. Garrett Cole, Rondon, hurt. Cortez, already hurt a little bit. Severino, probably will get hurt. Herman. Clark Schmidt needs to break this rotation, in my mind, and replace Herman. Rondon needs to show me he can pitch and pitch effectively in New York. And Severino needs to stay healthy the whole year. Maybe the best bullpen, starting staff in baseball. That's a lot of ifs, guys. That's a lot of ifs. Oakland, I'm not even going there. I don't even know these guys, except Paul Blackburn. Seattle, good rotation. Luis Castillo, who the Yankees missed out on last year. Robbie Ray, pitched well, not as well as he pitched 2 years ago when he won the Cy Young. George Kirby, good young pitcher. Logan Gilbert, good young pitcher. Marco Gonzalez, the weak link, didn't pitch badly. Had his moments last year. Another contender for best rotation in baseball. Tampa Bay always seems to find a way to get pitchers, but right now they seem a little weak. Shane McClanahan, I like a lot. When healthy, Tyler Glasnow is awesome. Jeffrey Springs, an unknown entity. Drew Rasmussen pitched well at times last year, and then Zach Eflin. Texas, I know Alan Perales, if you're out there and you see this later, please comment. You think this is a great rotation? It's not. Jacob deGrom, great pitcher when he can be on the mound, which is never, it feels like. If you get 20 starts, you've done pretty well. But then you got Nathan Eovaldi, Andrew Haney. People are saying what a great pickup this is. When did Andrew Haney become one of the best pitchers in baseball? Did I miss it? His ERA was okay last year, but his career ERA is awful. I don't know if the guy's ever won double-digit games. John Gray, journeyman. And Martin Perez, your fifth pitcher. Now, he pitched very well last year, but he did it for the first time at 31 years old. How much can they expect to get out of these guys, really? Think about it. Toronto, I like their rotation. Gausman, Manoah, Bassett, who they pick up this year. Jose Barrios has had some good years. Not quite so good last year. Had some good years with the Twins before he came over here. And then Kikuchi. Not sure about that pick. But this has the potential to be a very, very good rotation. Don't jinx your Astros. Listen, I've been saying that for 3 years. How can I jinx them? The Astros are the model organization in baseball right now, in my mind. In the National League, Arizona. This is at least the front end of this rotation has got some potential with some young guys. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. You got the old man Madison Bumgarner in the third spot. After that, he gets weak. Zach Davies, Dre Jameson. Atlanta, very, very, very good rotation. Max Fried, Strider, Charlie Morton, the ageless Charlie Morton, Kyle Wright, who only won 20-some games last year, which nobody does anymore, and Jared Schuster. Very good rotation. The Cubs, forget about it. Their number one starter is Marcus Stroman, guys. James Taillon is second. Kyle Hendricks is third. Drew Smiley's in this rotation. That's all you need to know. Now Rangers will get the wild card. Rangers aren't beating out the Astros or the Mariners. I mean, the Astros are banking on deGrom and a few other pickups to make a 20-game improvement. Not going to happen. And two of the better teams in the American League in front of them. The best team in baseball, in my mind, in the Astros. And the defending world champions. I'm not really out on a limb here, am I? And I think the Mariners have the opportunity. If they could make a run at the Astros this year. Where was I? Cincinnati. This ought to be fun, too. Hunter Green. Not a bad player, but Nick. I mean, this is awful. Graham Ashcroft, Luis Cessa. Oh, God. Luke Weaver. Awful. Colorado, Marquez. He's a nice pitcher. Kyle Freeland has had his moments. Jose Urena. And then you got some kids. Pitching in Colorado 82 games or 81 games a year is not going to help you. Miami, not quite as good as last year, but if they get bounce back seasons from Trevor Rogers and Luzardo, it's possible this team could have a really good rotation. Problem is they don't have anybody to play and score runs. Alcantara leads this rotation, as you know. Luzardo, Trevor Rogers, as I said, if he bounces back, it's a good rotation. Johnny Cueto and Edward Cabrera, another young guy. Milwaukee, always one of my favorites. This is quietly maybe the best pitching staff in baseball. They did let us down last year as I made them my dark horse World Series pick. Nothing but love for me. Thank you, CA. I do put the jinx and the hex on some teams. I haven't jinxed your team yet because I continue to say how good they are, how much Dusty Baker deserves the success that he's had there, how the whole sign stealing thing was just a bunch of hoo-ha and way overblown because everybody in baseball does that type of thing. And the teams that were crying, including my Yankees, didn't score any runs. How does that impact? How does sign stealing impact your inability to score runs? Anyway, Milwaukee, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, two of the best in the league. Freddie Peralta's had a pretty good couple seasons when he stayed healthy. Eric Lauer, I like. He came over from San Diego a couple of years ago. Wade Miley, been around. Not a bad number 5. Mets, possibilities here. Obviously, the front half of this, if age doesn't catch up with Scherzer and Verlander, maybe the best 2 starters in baseball. Senga, coming over from Japan, always a crapshoot, but he's got a pretty good track record there. Carlos Carrasco, nice story coming back last year from cancer, and he's a great story, and I won't root against him, even though I'm not a Met fan. And David Peterson has shown some potential, and maybe we'll be able to fill that 5th spot. Aaron Nola, this is the Phillies. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, again, very good front of the staff for the Phillies. They brought in Taijuan Walker from the Mets last year. Now he'll have a great first half and then really go in the tank for the second half. That's his MO. Roger Suarez and Bailey falter. This rotation falters a lot once you get to 4 and 5 here. Pittsburgh, no sense even talking about this. Rich Hill is their number 2 starter. Mark Mancini, wherever you are, you keep telling me this team's on the verge of something. It's not greatness. It's the abyss. Oh, God. San Diego, we already talked about this. I'm not going to listen. It has the potential to be a great rotation, or a very good one at least, but I'm not calling them the best rotation in baseball just yet. San Francisco, as they've done the last few years, a lot of retreads here. Logan Webb, good pitcher. Alex Cobb bounced back fairly well last year. Manaea, another guy who's been around. He started, he's relieved. We'll see what he can do. Ross Stripling, Alex Wood, guys that are, innings eaters at best. St. Louis, excuse me. This could be overrated. This could be an overrated rotation. Jack Flaherty's a good pitcher, not what he was a couple of years ago. Jordan Montgomery, he is not as good as he looked when he came over from the Yankees last year, or he would not have come over from the Yankees last year. Adam Wainwright, again, I think I graduated, pretty sure he graduated a year behind me in high school. Miles Mikolas, I could never say this guy's name. Just signed a $40 million extension, and Steven Matz. It's okay. And Washington really don't need to go here. Patrick Corbin, who just lost game after game after game last year, is their number 2 starter. Josiah Gray is their number 1 starter. This team is going nowhere. So that's a number 2 bold prediction. Not going to happen. Ryan McMahon, who I have loved forever out in Colorado. They're saying Ryan McMahon finally breaks out, hits 30 home runs, and he's an all-star. I've been waiting for that since about 2017. Injuries, guys in front of him at positions. There's been a lot of things that have held Ryan McMahon back, including himself, as he really hasn't hit that well. But he does, as he's learned to put the ball in the air more, he's gotten more power, and we'll see whether that'll turn into more home runs. He's a decent hitter, a decent guy to have in a ball club, but if he's going to be one of your number 1 bats, then again, that tells you where the Rockies are heading this year. And I'm not going to get into some of the ridiculous metrics that they use to predict he's going to do this, pull side power alley missiles. Average, I don't even know what the hell this is. Oh, exit velocity. So they're basing this on exit velocity. Ryan McMahon was second in exit velocity to Stanton. You wonder why I hate metrics? Again, do you need some good velocity on the ball to get it out of the ballpark? Yes. How much exit velocity do you think Henry Aaron had on all those 750? How many did he hit? 756? 755? Many of them just cleared the left field wall. Does it make him any less of a power threat? Baltimore Orioles will make the playoffs. I think this is a decent possibility to happen. Let me get to the standing. Let me take a quick look here. I don't care about preseason. My God. Who's going to win? Yankees and Blue Jays are going to vie for the first and second place in the East, and the loser probably gets a wild card. So there's one wild card. The White Sox, look at the Central's wide open except for the Royals and the Twins. I doubt a wild card comes out of there. I doubt it. In the West, you got, I think, both the Astros and the Mariners make it. So maybe they will make the playoffs. Maybe they get that third wild card. I think it's a possibility. It'll probably come down to the Red Sox. I'm sorry, Red Sox. Red Sox are going nowhere. It'll probably come down to the Orioles, maybe the White Sox, Guardians, Twins. Ranger fans, if you want to dream, I'll put you in that group. I'm not believing it, though. Sorry. Ansel Cruz gets 30-30 in his first full season. If you don't know Cruz's story, he's 6'8", shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He had a very bad strikeout rate last year, which I do think is an important stat, by the way. He struck out 53% of the time, especially, and that was against lefties. Overall, I want to say it was still 50%. So this guy's got some power, though. He's got some range in the field. He's going to be a really good player. Is he going 30-30 in his rookie year? I'm going to bet against that. How about that? Riley Green. Excuse me. Oh, my gosh. Riley Green breaks out and goes 20-10. Is that a breakout? When did 20 home runs and 10 stolen bases become a breakout season? I don't want to talk about this one anymore. Corey Seager wins the AL MVP. If this happens, Ranger fans, maybe you will have a shot. You've got one of the worst offenses in baseball, as I've said forever. Corey Seager did not have a good year last year. He is a good candidate to bounce back. If he's the AL MVP, then the Rangers are going to be in the thick of the wild card race. Assuming everybody else doesn't drop off the face of the earth. I just don't think this team is ready to win, and that will mean that Corey Seager is not winning the American League MVP. Lars Nootbaar, who we just watched play in the WBC for Japan, the gold medal winning team from Japan. Cardinals led the league in pulled fly. Who cares about all this stuff? But this says Lars Nootbaar will be a top 25 hitter in the big leagues. Now, this goes into a lot of, line drive rate and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into that. I'll just, from the eye test perspective, I need to see more out of Lars Nootbaar than what I've seen so far. Doesn't mean he won't take a leap. Guys do. Hunter Green, Nick Lodelo, and Graham Ashcroft are the best young big three in years. So I just derided the Reds rotation. This writer in The Athletic is saying that they will be the best young big three in 15 years. So they compare them favorably with Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, and Jonathan Sanchez of the 2008 Giants. If you remember, Cain and Lincecum were very, very good. The Marlins in 2006 with Dontrelle Willis, Josh Johnson, Scott Olson. That didn't last very long, by the way, and I'll let you compare them favorably to them. The Marlins in 2003 with Beckett, Willis, and Brad Penny. That was a great threesome right there. None of them, Beckett maybe a little bit. None of them really had much staying power, though. And the Athletics in 2001 with Mulder. That's Mark Mulder, by the way, not Fox, for you X-File fans. Tim Hudson and Barry Zito. Another great threesome. But let's not forget, go back to 91. Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Steve Avery, even the Pirates in the late 90s. Jason Schmidt, Esteban Loaiza, Francisco Cordova. They got a ways to go to beat that Giants staff, in my mind, to beat that Braves staff, even to beat that A's staff in 2001. So, number 10, Kevin Gausman will win the AL Cy Young Award. This one may be the one that I really agree with happening here. He's a really good pitcher. He has been for a while. He really turned his career around his first in Gabe Kapler's first year managing the Giants, and parlay that into a free agent deal with the Blue Jays last year. Pitched very, very well last year. He pounds the strike zone. I like Kevin Gausman, and I think it's possible he would do very, very well this year and potentially be the AL Cy Young Award winner. You will get some of these bold predictions from myself and Drew Ehrlich when we do our Major League Baseball preview show, which might very well be next Thursday night. Now that I think about it, that's very possibly the night we'll have to do it. I got to get a hold of Drew, though, by the way. Maybe I'll call him right after this so we can get this put to bed. So anyway, that's a little bit of that nonsense, if you will. Let's talk a little about the WBC, and then I want to look at the opening day matchups, and we'll talk a little more about, I guess, what else. Whatever topics you guys have, we can certainly dive into. The WBC, did I lose it? Is it gone altogether? I guess I got to look it up here. Hold on. Just wrapped up Tuesday night with a great game. Japan against the USA. Ended, listen, it was a well-pitched game, well-played game by Japan. Ohtani, who I've said is a tremendous athlete, did not deserve to be in the conversation for the AL MVP last year with the year Judge had. But and I said this, we had a few of my followers kind of deride Ohtani as being just a figment of ESPN's imagination. But that is not the case, guys. You watch what he did. He played DH for 8 innings that night, had to bust it several times. He was on the bases a bunch. So he worked hard for 8 innings and then came in and closed the 9th with 3 straight outs and punches out his teammate, Mike Trout, not literally, strikes him out to make the last out with a nasty slider on the last pitch. Great matchup to win a 1-run game. And what else can you be looking for other than that? U.S. doesn't defend their championship. They were a little short on pitching. I think the next go-around, you're going to see them bring some better starters. Lance Lynn and Adam Wainwright were their only season starters. Wainwright got hurt. Lance Lynn pitched okay. It's hard for me to really get excited about Lance Lynn because he's pitched well everywhere he goes except when he was with the Yankees. And he looks like me out there other than the beard and the hair. I'm talking mostly about his waistline. But it was a tremendous game, a well-played game. No errors, everybody in the game, everybody excited. And that followed, and Japan does this after this tremendous game on Monday night, semifinal game with Mexico, where they had to come back 2 different times. They had to come back. They were down 3-0. They tied it at 3. Mexico comes right back with 2 runs in the 8th. Japan gets 1 back in the bottom of the 8th, and then it scores 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win it. Just a tremendous tremendous series. First champion in the WBC ever to win all their games, Japan. Just a really, I'm sorry, just a really, really good showing by Japan. And they've shown that they are really the best team in the world. Now, would it have been different because the U.S. lineup was just very, very good. Pitching was lacking. I thought the bullpen pitched well, but not enough starters really to get through this thing in my mind. Some other surprises in this tournament. Excuse me. Italy goes 2-2 in Pool A and advances out of pool play. Good job for them. The Netherlands, with former Major League Baseball player Bert Blyleven, the pitching coach out there, they go 2-2. Narrowly miss getting in. I think run differential is what kept them out. They were 2-2 as well. Panama was 2-2. Run differential kept them out. And Chinese Taipei 2-2. So Italy and the Netherlands especially, and even Chinese Taipei, big step forward here, and they've been getting better and better every classic. And I think that's why this is important, because it's selling baseball around the world where, listen, baseball's lost its standing as a sport. It's lost to football. It's been losing to basketball. It's lost to soccer. In Pool B, Japan, as I said, 4-0 in pool play. Then they go, they run through the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final. They go 7-0 to run the table here, and a great win over Mexico and USA in the semis and the final. Well done. But Australia makes a big jump forward, 3-1. They advance into the quarterfinals before losing. Czech Republic wins a game. That's a big deal. Canada 2-2. A great story with Freddie Freeman playing for the Canadians and not the U.S. Basically to honor his mother, who passed away when he was just a kid, I think 10 years old. She died of cancer, and she was of Canadian heritage, and he wanted to honor his mother. And this is the second time he's played for the Canadians rather than the U.S., and I think it's a cool story. Great Britain, I guess it's a good story. One win. Great Britain, let me ask you a question. You are not a poor country. You don't need to put on, give guys uniforms that looks like you stenciled the Great Britain on the front 5 minutes before the game started. You got pictures with, the I in Britain falling right off or it was the E, I guess it was. Either E. Falling right off of the uniform while he's on the mound pitching. It's an embarrassment. And the Pool D, which was just loaded with Venezuela, Puerto Rico, both come out of there 4-0 and 3-1 respectively. The Dominican Republic finishes 2-2. I would have picked them to be the favorite there. Well, maybe Venezuela, but any one of these three could have won this pool and won the tournament, quite frankly. These teams were loaded. And Israel wins a game, which is, a good thing. They're starting to make some strides as well. Special kudos to Canadian manager Ernie Witt, who's been part of the only person been part of every single WBC Classic. So congratulations to Japan. Well played, well done. USA, you did the best you could do. The starters left a little bit desired, the starting pitchers. And I think Mark DeRosa did a really good job in his first managerial stint anywhere. And I think this was kind of a trial run for Mark DeRosa to see if this is something he might want to pursue on a regular basis in the major league. So we'll see how that goes. Let's jump forward, and then we're going to get out of here unless you guys have some topics. Anybody who's with us still, you want to make comments, you want to bring up a topic, we'll certainly talk about it. And we'll be getting into scores and everything else when we meet up again. Matchups for the opening day, Thursday, March 30th. And I'll give you the pitching matchups, which we're supposed to see. Atlanta at Washington. Max Fried against Patrick Corbin. San Francisco at the Yankees. 105. These are 105 starts, by the way. Logan Webb and Garrett Cole. Baltimore at Boston. Kyle Gibson against Corey Kluber. Brewers. Brewers again. I'm going to listen. I still got to think on this. I still got to sleep on it a little bit. But I like the Brewers if they've improved their offense enough, and I got to dive into their roster a little bit. I might have them as a sleeper again this year. But they'll open against the Cubs. Corbin Burns, one of the best pitchers in baseball, against Marcus Stroman. He's the Cubs' number one. You can see, listen, I don't know why everybody's excited about what the Cubs have done this year. Other than signing Dansby Swanson, I do not know why I would be excited about this team. Detroit at Tampa Bay. Eduardo Rodriguez against Shane McClanahan. Shane McClanahan, a very underrated pitcher right now. Philadelphia at Texas. Aaron Nola against Jacob deGrom, assuming deGrom can stay healthy until then. The Rangers might want to wrap him in bubble wrap and make sure that he can make it till then. Minnesota at Kansas City. Pablo Lopez. Who the hell's Freddie Lopez? Pablo Lopez, who they acquired in a trade with the Marlins, a good young pitcher, against Zach Greinke. Watch out for the Twins this year, too. Again, it seems like I say this every year. If Byron Buxton stays healthy and the pitching comes through, this team could surprise in the Central. The Mets at the Marlins, Max Scherzer against Alcantara. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Remember the days when Cincinnati had the standalone opening day for, 100 years? We can't do that anymore. Probably because it offends other teams. Anyway, Mitch Keller for the Pirates. Hunter Green for Cincinnati. And as I said, we just went through some of the rotations. And one of the Athletics' bold predictions was that this rotation of the the top three guys in the rotation are as good as any in baseball in a long time. And I have a hard time with that. Toronto at St. Louis. Alex Manoah against Miles Mikolas. Colorado at San Diego. That's Marquez against Snell. The Chicago White Sox at Houston. Dylan Cease, Cy Young contender, against Framber Valdez, also a Cy Young contender. The Angels at Oakland. Of course, Ohtani against Mueller. Arizona Diamondbacks, maybe another breakout team this year. Watch the Diamondbacks. At the Dodgers. Dodgers are hurting a little bit. We'll dive into them next week as well. Zach Gallen against Julio Urias. Cleveland at Seattle. Two teams that keep a close eye on in the American League, especially the Mariners. Shane Bieber against Luis Castillo. Two of the best. Castillo. Who's that? Louis Costello. Lou Costello. Yes, Bud Abbott will be backing him up. Luis Castillo. Two of the best young pitchers in the American League. That's where we'll start the season, guys. Let me just take a quick look here, see if there's anything else I really wanted to chat about. If you guys have anything, throw it up here. Trevor Bauer, by the way, is going to be pitching in Japan for the Yokohama Dene Bay Stars. I mean, why are they letting this guy pitch for him? I don't understand. Yankees, by the way, have passed $7 billion as the worth of the franchise. As Major League Baseball teams' values continue to rise. Talked about Hoskins. We talked about that. Talked about Iglesias. You know, there's an article in ESPN. Can the Cubs fix Cody Bellinger? Will a change of scenery help this guy? I know people that are picking him to win the MVP, comeback player of the year, maybe comeback player of the year. He's not winning the MVP, not with this team. And this is a guy who struggled to get his batting average to 190 much of the last 3 years. I don't know what happened to this guy. But anyway. Yankees prospect Anthony Volpe launched his third HR this spring. this today, I find it hard to believe the Yankees will not start him at shortstop. If they don't, it's going to be because they're trying to save the service time, and there's no other reason except for that. And that's it. I mean, there's some other stuff we'll get into here in the coming weeks, but that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap it up here. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll have more and more. Now we're getting into some real baseball by the time we meet again next week. We'll review the week that was. Only going to be games for one day and probably some games going on when we get together next Friday. But please tune in to that show. Tune into myself with Dan Harris talking Let's Talk New York Sports here in just an hour. And I hope you will join us for that. I'll be on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness show. That's the Kermit Washington interview that I have. I'll keep reposting it. Had a great time. Next week, you're going to see Matt Robinson, former Jet quarterback, Georgia Bulldog. Very, very eye-opening interview with him about why maybe he didn't do better in his NFL career than he could have. So, anyway, Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk Major League Baseball update. We'll catch you next week. Have a great Friday.